sorry, the number you have reached is not in service. Please check the number or try your call again. This is a recording.
Are you listening?
Hello there.
I'm Darius.
And I'm Sam.
And welcome to the Oxfordshire Youth Podcast. This podcast is by young people, for young people, just to talk about the things that we care about.
We're here to give you a voice, whether that's the voice of your creativity, your professionalism, or just something that you're doing that you feel needs to be spoken about.
And if you want to get in touch and actually get on this podcast, you really can.
We don't bite. I mean, we promise.
And we promise. But the real question here is, are you listening?
I mean, are you listening?
Are you listening?
Are you listening?
Let's just get on into the podcast.
Thank you so much for joining us, Autumn. So you were the winner of Pride of Oxfordshire. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and sort of what you did to win the Pride of Oxfordshire?
Okay, so I am a care leaver. I went into care when I was 13. And when I'd finished school, after I'd done my GCSEs, I was quite stubborn as in how I wanted to go forward from GCSEs. So I wanted to go to sixth form, and then I wanted to go to uni, and then I wanted to study law and become a lawyer. I tried out sixth form, wasn't for me. Then I also tried out college, wasn't for me either. So I decided I'm just going to work, and then next academic year I'll go back into college or whatever. Then when you're a child in care, you are connected to an organisation called the Virtual School, which is basically someone for you who supports you in education, employment and training.
Oh, that's really good. And
my worker there, she said, well, this opportunity has come up. Why don't you take a look at it? I think you'd really like it. I was like, okay, well, there's no harm in taking a look at it, but it was an apprenticeship, and I'd never really heard about apprenticeships before and how you can go up the ladder with apprenticeships. So I applied, and it was really weird because when you went to the interview, you actually met all the other candidates, and I was like, oh no,
oh gosh,
probably gonna get it. So like, yeah, it was weird. So I did my interview and I left, and at this point I'd literally just been employed by Sainsbury's. So I was sort of like, if I get it, then I get it, but if I don't, at least I've got this to fall back on.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I got it and I got the call, and I remember I was working a shift, and we kept missing each other when we were calling.
Oh no.
So in the end, my boss just texted me and was like, you got it. And I remember telling like my colleagues at Sainsbury's, like, I've got the job. And the apprenticeship was for working with children in care and care leavers and helping them to go into shared accommodation. And at first I thought, okay, is this going to be quite daunting? Because I was only just turned 17 at the time, and the people that we were supporting were going to be 16 to 18 years old.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, well, what if these young people think that I think I'm better than them because I'm in a more authoritative position? What if they just don't like me, etc.? And I remember going to the first group session with all the young people, and I was like, oh my, please just like me. And then from there, I just managed to build up a relationship. And that job also gave me lots of opportunities. And I'm now in a different apprenticeship within the council, but I wouldn't have been able to go into the apprenticeship I'm in now without having that experience.
Yeah. Wow.
Also, I am a part of something called the Children in Care Council, which is sort of like a forum for children in care and care leavers. And I think I got involved in that in 2016, and that's really helped boost my confidence. I facilitated this sort of meeting on Saturday. It was our festive one,
Yeah.
and normally we go to Hill End and we hire out the barn and we have this really nice Christmas dinner all together.
Oh, that sounds
Play
lovely.
games. It's honestly one of the most special and memorable things to do in the year. Unfortunately, we weren't able to do that this year because of the current circumstances, so we held it
Mm.
online. And we were quite precautious about how to make this even more special than usual, because
Yeah.
we couldn't do what we normally did. And having that contact with other people, especially around such a hard time for people with those without families, etc.
Mm.
But it went really well, and there was a director on there, and she came on and she said, I remember the first time you came to one of our festive meals and I sat next to you and I was trying to engage in conversation with you and you just wouldn't talk at all.
Oh.
And now look at you. So that definitely helped. And then from Children in Care Council, I got the opportunity to be a part of VOXY, which is Voice of Oxfordshire Youth. And this was sort of a bit more out of my comfort zone, because this was people that I might not necessarily have shared something in common with. Whereas I know
Mm.
with Children in Care Council that we were all in care.
Yeah.
But it was such a good opportunity. I've built good relationships with the people on VOXY, and that's also helped my confidence a lot, to the point where I thought I'd apply to be the chair, vice chair, and I managed to get vice chair, so I'm so glad about that.
Oh, that's amazing. Well done.
But, yeah, thank you. And then from then, being involved with those two organisations, I got asked to do quite a few things, and one of my passions is poetry.
Mm.
And there was an Oxfordshire Safeguarding Board conference back in, I want to say February, March this year, and I got asked to read a poem that I entered into a competition, and it was about achievements, and I'd basically gone through everything that had sort of happened to me whilst being in care,
Mm.
and how I felt I was going to go forward at those points in my life. For example, when I was in school, I wasn't the most well behaved, and I was very, if I didn't think I could do something, then I wouldn't do it at all. I wouldn't try, because
Yeah.
I had such a bad fear of failure, and all I wanted to do was make people proud of me. And how could I do that if I was to fail?
Mm.
And it was just all about how I came from thinking so negatively and having that mindset to where I am now and the things that I've achieved now. Standing up in front of around 250 people was very scary,
Oh
but it
gosh,
was
I
so
bet.
worth it. It was so worth it. So they had sort of like an anonymous comment thing, and
Mm.
they would share the responses that people had given. And I just remember the way that people were talking about how my poem had impacted them, and how people were, they just spoke so positively about me, and it just
Mm.
meant a lot. Like, all I've wanted to do is make people proud, and I think maybe most of all I wanted to make myself proud, and I think I have done that.
Yeah,
I
you
I,
have
I would,
definitely. You've made so many people proud, and we at Oxford Youth are all so proud of you. I mean, winning the Pride of Oxfordshire is an amazing achievement. So well done. It's just amazing, and you should be proud of yourself. Um, and I read through your poem as well that you just spoke about, and I was wondering if the way that you sort of write your poetry? Do you use it as a reflection and maybe a sort of way to review how your life has gone and where you'd then like it to go?
Definitely, 100%. I mean, the last few poems that I've written have there's sort of been where it's quite negative at the beginning and then it gets better later on. And I think I also write like that because I want other people to know that just because you start off in life maybe not the best, it doesn't mean you can't amount to something.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you can't end up being happy. I think a lot of people, if something goes wrong, or for example, if you fail an exam, etc., you then think that that's the end of it, and it's really not. You can do so much more.
Definitely. Yeah, I definitely agree with you. And I love the way that you speak about how failure isn't who you are. It can be rectified and you can do something good out of failure. And I think that is so inspiring. And I was just wondering if you think maybe this passion and inspiration that you have, not only for your poetry, but to help others and help your own personal development as well. Do you think these are some of the reasons why you won the Pride of Oxfordshire Award?
I would like to think so. I think when I started my first apprenticeship, it was on a project called the House Project, and it was with other care leavers, and a lot of them had minor issues about, I don't know, it could be the smallest things, such as going to college, that they struggled doing exams, they struggled talking to people, they struggled getting into employment. And I think the one thing that everybody needs to remember is the more you persevere, the more you're going to get to where you want to be, no matter how hard it is. And I think as well, you always need to ask for help, and that's something that I used to hate doing. But especially in class, just putting my hand up and asking a question, because you think, well, what if other people know the answer to that question? Am I going to look silly? You're never going to look silly asking a question. Everybody's different. Nobody's the same. We all work different. But yeah, I honestly couldn't believe that. I remember getting the letter through about being nominated for an award, and I was thinking, who nominated me? Because I didn't know.
Did you find out who nominated you?
I did.
Oh, that's good.
And I was like, what does this mean? What does it mean? And then I didn't actually see the nomination until after I'd won, and it was so touching that someone thinks about me like that, and that they can talk about me like that. And the other thing is that someone recognises how far I've come, and I think that matters a lot to me, because if it sort of reassures me that I have come a long way, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, definitely. Just from hearing you speak now, I feel like you've come such a long way. And to do with your confidence, I mean, when you were back in school, would you have come on to do a podcast with me today? Like that,
Probably
I feel like,
not.
Yeah, so I feel like I can tell your confidence has grown so much, and I love your enthusiasm, and I love how inspiring you are, and I love the way you talk about it, and I feel like it can really help others. And on the subject of talking, I heard that you were on BBC Radio Oxford and you got the opportunity to speak to Jacqueline Wilson. And I used to love her as a child. I was obsessed with her books. So I was just wondering how that experience went. I bet you must have been so excited.
Oh, it was so great. From winning the award, I then got asked if I wanted to go on the radio the next day. And I was like, oh, okay. And I remember being like, oh my God.
Just so
I'd never done
excited.
so excited. I'd never done anything like that before, never had the opportunity to do anything like that. So it was very nerve-wracking though. And then I got asked, well, we got the opportunity to do the Fleur show, and I was like, yeah, okay, let's just go for it. Not in a million years was I expecting from doing that I was going to speak to my childhood hero. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, that is amazing. How did that come about happening? Did they contact you, or did you contact Jacqueline, or?
Yeah, so after speaking with Fleur, she mentioned on the radio that she had seen that I like Jacqueline Wilson. And we had a talk about it and about which books, because Fleur also loved Jacqueline Wilson. And then on the Wednesday, I was actually out shopping, Christmas shopping, and I got a missed call from this like 0800 number twice, and I was like, well, they haven't left a message, and I don't know who it is, so I'll just leave it. And I got back and Fleur texted me, and she said, got some really exciting news, could I call you? I said, yeah, I'm free whenever. I wasn't expecting it to be what it was. I was sort of expecting like, oh, do you want to come on the show again? That'd be great.
Yeah.
And Fleur said, can I just record your reaction on live radio? I was like, yeah, okay. And she said about Jacqueline, and I was like, no way. I was trying to be so modest about it because I was on radio. But it was so amazing. And then when I then spoke to Jacqueline and Fleur on the Friday, and it was, I just couldn't believe it. I grew up with Jacqueline. Well, I grew up watching Tracy Beaker at first on TV, and then back in about 2008, my nan bought me a book, and it was My Sister Jodie, and then from then on, I've just been collecting her books, and they really helped me. There was one called Clean Break, and that resonates with me so much. It was about a mum and a dad splitting up and sort of the siblings being in the middle. But it was talking about how the siblings sort of stuck together and how they coped through it. And at this point, my mum and my dad were going through a divorce, so that really helped me. But it was amazing. And then at the end of the interview, Jacqueline turned around and said, well, not for a few years, but if I write another book and there's a character that fits you, then I'll call her Autumn. And I was like, no way, no way.
I would buy that book. I would buy that book.
Thank you. I really do hope it happens. I know it sounds really cheesy, but I really do hope it happens. Like, that would be amazing.
I bet that is a dream come true for you. That is
honestly. Yeah, she was amazing. She was so inspiring, and I'd always wanted to meet her, and obviously we can't, but talking to her and the way that she spoke about everything, especially about, because I asked her a question about how did she get the information for writing Tracy Beaker, because obviously it's about the care system.
Yeah.
And she spoke about how it was actually accurate information that she had gotten. She hadn't just looked it up, but she had spoken to a foster carer and stuff like that. So yeah, she holds a very special place in my heart.
Oh, I bet that must have been honestly amazing. I'm so happy for you.
So thank you.
I was also wondering, since this has happened, since your amazing opportunity to be able to speak on BBC Radio Oxford and speak to your childhood hero, I was wondering if any other new opportunities had risen from this, aside from BBC Radio Oxford.
So the council has written like about me.
That's amazing.
That sounds really cheesy.
But, no, that's great, especially because you work for the council as well.
Yeah, I was put in like the weekly updates by the like head of the council, and then asked to do this little segment about how I felt about it, etc. Um, and then also that sort of grown my Twitter as well. So not really, really big on Twitter, but I use it for sort of work purposes.
Yeah.
And for the festive meal that we just did, I really wanted to get messages from all sorts of people, whether that be celebrities, people in the community, etc. And that really helped me get messages for those young people. So we got video messages from people like Hannah Rankin, who's a world champion boxer,
Oh, that's
Jamie
amazing.
Jamie Cullum, who's a jazz singer, Horrid Henry,
Ah.
Oxford United, and also one that I'm really excited about is from Jodie from the dumping ground.
Oh, yes.
And I got that through and I was like, oh my god,
Ah,
it was
that's so
so
exciting.
amazing.
That is
So
amazing.
yeah,
What were you collecting the videos for? Was it just to show at the Christmas event?
yeah, it was sort of, I wanted them to mention Oxfordshire Children and Care Council, so it is personalised, and just sort of praising them for all they've done this year, because despite the current circumstances, they've been really consistent and still tried to support everybody else that in any way they can. So yeah, and we had some very nice reactions, shocked faces. It was lovely.
Oh, I bet that's such a wonderful idea. Bless you. That is so lovely. Um, so the Oxfordshire Youth Awards, the ceremony overall, I absolutely loved your reaction video. And I was just wondering who you had there to support with you, because I saw there was another person there with you. And what did you think of the Youth Awards ceremony overall?
Um, so I had my friend Megan here with me. So I live on my own, so she's my bubble. And she was also there when I won the Apprenticeship Award. So it's sort of like a theme. She'll be here when I have stuff like that.
Oh, that's nice.
And she's been a huge support, especially throughout lockdown. Uh,
Oh, I think
sorry,
I
sorry
just
about
lost
that.
you there.
At the start of lockdown, I'm pretty sure I moved in the day before we went on lockdown.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I was only 18 when I moved in, and it was all very new to me. So Megan actually moved in with me, so I wasn't alone, because I'd gone from being in a foster family to then just being on my own
Yeah.
in a flat, and obviously you couldn't have visitors around. So Megan gave up her life, so to speak, so she could be here with me.
Oh, that is
And
so lovely.
honestly, she helped me so immensely. And there was points where I just couldn't sleep on my own or anything like that, but she supported me through that, and now I can be on my flat on my own, etc.
Ah,
So
that
yeah,
is
that is
so nice.
great.
Yeah.
I thought the award ceremony was done very well, and me and Megan sat there and we were watching Darius, and he was so funny. We
Yes.
absolutely loved it.
He's a
We
brilliant
loved it.
host.
He was great, and we loved the performances. And I just thought it was really well executed. It was very entertaining as well. Like I did watch it the whole way through. It wasn't something, it didn't bore me or anything. It was really good. And when it came up to the awards, and when it came up to mine, like where you were speaking about all the people shortlisted, um, I was actually up against one of my really close friends on that award as well. So I was
Really?
sort of like, I hope that she wins. And I honestly did not think that I was going to win. I was speaking to her via message, and I was saying, like, oh my God, I don't think it will, but good luck. I'm sure you're going to get it. And she was saying vice versa. And then when you were describing who was going to win, I remember turning to Megan. We've got a video of it. I remember turning to Megan and I was like, oh, it's not me, it's not me. And then we were looking at the screen and my phone was right next to the laptop and my phone then lit up. And I was like, Megan, and I just kept pointing to the phone.
Just like too much in shock to answer.
Honestly, it was so, I don't know, it was just so unbelievable. Like, I really wasn't expecting it. And when I watched the video back, the man, I can't remember his name, who was on there was like, can you turn off your broadcast, please? But I didn't hear him in the moment. So I was just playing my broadcast like, oh my God. Because I hadn't heard the name be announced yet. So I was like, okay, I'll wait for Darius to see if he's going to say my name.
Yeah.
And then we'll go from there. And I remember going, like literal screaming. But it was so amazing. So amazing.
It must have been, honestly, for you not to have thought like at all that you were going to win, and then to hear your name, that must have been the best feeling ever.
Honestly, it was. I think this year especially has been a really tough year for so many people.
Yeah.
Practically everyone. And there was meant to be really nice like stuff happening this year. So I was meant to go to the Queen's Garden party. Obviously went to go to these awards and other awards, and that they weren't able to happen. But winning that award just topped this year off for me. It was great. It was so amazing.
I'm so glad that you felt that way, and that we could bring that joy to your life in such a difficult year. And speaking of the Oxfordshire Youth Awards Committee, we have lots of projects going on. So if you ever feel like getting involved, we would love your input. Obviously, if you're interested. But yeah, because I know obviously you're a member of VOXY as well.
Yeah.
I was just wondering quickly what that involved.
So VOXY is a committee of young people, I think they're aged from like 12 or 13 to 25. And we speak about topics that affect young people and how we can make services that support young people better, or how we could sort of resolve some issues in some way or help to resolve some issues. So for example, our latest campaign was about climate change, and we held a general meeting and we had guests there. There were people talking about the 2050 plan from the council, and we did activities such as what if you had to stop doing something, what would you do to sort of save the environment? So for example, people can start sharing baths and stuff. But that's a great thing to be a part of, because we also cover topics, or have done in the past, about domestic abuse, mental health, and we fed back to people such as CAMS, etc., who have then tried to sort of change their service.
That sounds like a really good thing to do. It sounds like you're really making an impact on other people around you in some really serious matters, which is a really good thing.
Yeah, and they're great people to work with. They're very supportive and they value everyone's opinions as well. So it's such a great thing to be a part of.
That sounds amazing. honestly, having a supportive team is one of the best things.
100%, definitely.
Well, thank you so much for coming on and speaking on this podcast today, Autumn. It's been lovely having you and speaking to you and hearing all about your story, and you are a truly inspiring person, and not only everyone at Oxfordshire Youth, but I am proud of you, and you should be very proud of yourself. So thank you, and congratulations
so
again.
much. Thank you.